May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. Let every moment be a prayer. With every sip of tea, let your lips move in thanksgiving. Be fully present to every stroke of the hairbrush, every cup of milk you pour for the children. Be present without judgment or regret, without plans or expectations, or even dreams, and every moment becomes a prayer. We open this service with these words by Elena Westbrook. Thank you all for being here this morning. My name is Birch Spick. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and it is my honor to be celebrant to you this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. My name is Louise Alcorn. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My co-leader, not celebrant, co-leader today is Birch Spick. Our accompanist is Amy Anderson, she, her, and our song leader is Kelly Patterson, she, her. The pastoral care leader this week is Jean McCracken, he, him. No matter who you are or where you've come from, you're welcome here. Whether or not you live in Des Moines or have ever physically been at First Unitarian, hello, Zoom. Whoever you are, we hope that here you find thoughts which challenge you, welcome which invites you, I see, and where we can grow in spirit, serve justly, and love radically. And today, in this hot July, we hope you find a little something to help you chill out. This year so far has been hard, really hard. Cultural setbacks, human indignities, environmental conflagrations. As we reach the middle, the height of summer, we feel less like we're on summer vacation and more like a sweaty mess. I was recently reminded of a poem I studied in high school, which is one of the few that really stuck with me. Poetry is not my jam. The World is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth. As the world, our democracy, and our earth are hot, inflamed, and even on fire, the first half of the poem really resonates with me. It keeps coming up in my head. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. He then devolves into some glorious romanticism about ancient gods, which I won't bore you with. But the point is made. We are out of tune. Not you, Amy, I promise. But our souls are out of tune, and we see little that feels like ours right now. So today, we will take a moment to take a mini summer vacation together. We're going to offer some hopeful ways to respond to the daily fire by focusing our first theme on our first UU principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Legal constructs upholding inherent worth have taken a battering this year, but our principle is there to guide us back. Our second theme will take us where summer so often takes us, traveling. As we take a break to escape the daily grind, how we go is as important as where we go. And finally, because we can't leave you to face the rest of the summer without a little hope, our final theme will be wonder. There's plenty of it still to find, and we'll show you some. Join us now in our gathering song, appropriately titled When the Summer Sun is Shining, number 66 in the Gray Hymnal, Kelly will lead us.
When the summer sun is shining over golden land and sea, and the flowers in the hedgerow welcome butterfly and bee, and my open heart is glowing, full of warmth for everyone, and I feel an inner beauty which reflects the summer sun. When the summer clouds of thunder bring the long-awaited rain, and the thirsty soil is moistened and the grass is green again, then I long for summer sunshine, but I know that clouds and tears are a part of life's refreshment, like the rainbow's hopes and fears. In the cool of summer evening, when the dancing insects play, and in garden, street, and meadow linger echoes of the day, then my heart is full of yearning, hopes and memories flood the whole of my being, reaching inwards to the corners of my soul.
Each week, we celebrate that this community is an intergenerational one. We celebrate that no matter how old or young we are, we all have something to learn and grow in together. This time is our chapel for children of all ages. When you're having a bad day, what makes you feel better? Many of the adults in your life have probably not been feeling great lately. And some of you probably have noticed this and may not even be feeling great yourselves. So today, we're talking about the things we can all do together for each other to make ourselves feel better. There are lots of things you might do to make yourself better. Maybe there are things other people do to make you feel better when you're feeling down. When you're not feeling your best, maybe you like it when your parents or your friends bring you your favorite snack or play your favorite game with you. When they do this, you know they really care about you. You probably also know when your friends or your siblings aren't feeling well, you might ask them if they want to watch a movie or play a game or have their favorite snack. You do that because you really care about them and you want them to feel good. In Unitarian Universalism, we talk a lot about our first principle, inherent worth and dignity. And that really just means that everyone deserves to know that other people care about them. Sometimes when you're not feeling great or someone you know isn't, you just need to get your mind off of whatever it is that's bothering you. Sometimes the problems that you're facing are so big that it feels like the things we can do can't fix them. That might be a clue that you need to step away, try something different for a while, and then come back to working on the problem. I'm not saying run away from your problems altogether. You'll still have your room to pick up, dishes to do, and homework to finish. But sometimes taking a little break can help you focus better when you do come back to that problem, that task. Sometimes after taking some time away, we see things differently than we did before. Maybe that will help you with the problem you're trying to solve. And sometimes when you're feeling down and blue, all you need to do is find something to spark your interest and curiosity. Feeling awe and wonder, exploring things you find interesting, can help you get around the things that seem too big or too overwhelming. Maybe going for a walk in the woods, or watching a video about outer space, or reading your favorite book about dinosaurs will help make you feel curious about the world. And maybe that wonder and excitement will help you feel better. There are lots of ways we can care for each other, and lots of ways we can make each other feel better when we're not feeling the greatest. So as you go out into the world after this service, I hope you think about what you need when you need to feel better. And I hope you think about what others need too. Thank you for listening. The kitchen renovation project continues, and this morning Anne Mowry and Al Powers are here to give us the latest updates.
Good morning. Hats off to you. We did it. I want you to know that we have raised all the money that you have pledged. We got 100% of the money that people pledged. It is absolutely baffling. Which means we are, by my calculations, we're about $100 from $435,000. So it looks like the whole project can be done without any endowment money. That is incredible. So let me tell you just a little bit from the kitchen committees at this point. We, as many of you know, we got the dishwasher in this week. It's not in place. It's in Griffin Hall, and it will have to be there until the contractors get going. We ordered the dishes. We will have new dishes, and they were ordered this week. We expect to sign a contract this week for the countertop. And that is really about the last major piece that needs to be contracted for other than the general contractor. And Furnishings and Logistics Committee is meeting, and we're working on tables and the shelving and the everything that needs to go in the kitchen once it gets built. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Al, who will talk about the construction.
I want you to know that we are just about ready to start digging. The first phase of construction will be the installation of the grease interceptor, which you have heard about for months and months and months, but we're actually going to be starting. It's being installed by the Waldinger Corporation. The tank, as of now, is being fabricated. It will be ready for delivery in about a week. We expect the contractor to actually start work on Monday, August 8th. The first thing they will do is break out the sidewalk outside the west doors. So starting right outside the doors, going out about 50 feet, they have to cut and break out and take up all of the sidewalk out there. The next thing they'll do is install the piping from the building out to where the grease interceptor is going to be. Then they're going to dig a big hole and set this big concrete tank down below the sidewalk. They'll backfill, and then we'll have a separate contractor come in to replace the sidewalk and put things back together. We expect at this point that the west entrance doors will be closed for 2 Sundays, August 13th and August 20th. If all goes well, we expect to complete that whole portion of the project August 26th. So we'll be back having doors open then the next day on, or the next Sunday on August 27th. If anybody's interested in more of the details, I'll be outside right after the service, and I'd be glad to show you where it's going, how it's being tied in, anything you want to know about it. Second big news, we have selected a general contractor. That will be Holcomb Construction. They're a small family-owned Des Moines-based contractor. We should have a contract ready for the board to review and the board president to sign tomorrow. We hope. I really hope to be able to tell you today, but now I'd say tomorrow. So that is a major step. We did receive 3 bids. They were all very good, very relatively competitive. Holcomb was low by about $10,000, but we feel we have a good contractor lined up. We feel we've got everything covered and are ready to move forward. They have already submitted their building permits to the city. They're in the process of being reviewed. They expect to start ordering materials just as soon as we get the contract signed. And they expect, once they get everything in place, that they'll actually start work in the church the first week of September. Our best bet, and that's all it is right now, is best hope, about 2 months of construction time. So if things go well, we're hoping they do, Thanksgiving, we'll have a new kitchen ready for Thanksgiving. So we will keep working on that, and we'd be glad to answer any questions. I do have a set of the final drawings that if anybody has, specific questions, wants to look at anything, again, I'd be glad to go through them with you and show you what's happening. One final note on another project, the new lift right out there is almost installed. They claim about a half a day's worth of work to finish it up. Now, I think that's a little optimistic, but it should be in the next few days. We then have to do the finishing work because we made a mess out of the walls and the doors and all around it. You can see out there what we have to deal with. So our general contractor that's doing the finishing work should start that this week. I'm guessing about 2 weeks more before we actually have the new lift in service. But I think you're going to be very pleased with what we have, the way it's going to work, the way it looks, and just look forward to taking a ride in it, even if you don't need to, even if you're not handicapped. We invite everybody to come and take a ride in the new lift. Thank you all.
There's cake. Cake. Okay, can we please have a round of applause for Al and Ann and all their work? Having just finished a 2-year demo at my place of work, I know exactly how much they've been doing, so I'm deeply impressed. Okay, in the tradition of the last few years, here is my oh so solemn offertory story. This summer's church carnival included a dunking tank, where softball throwers with good aim could make a big splash with, or rather of, the pastor. The tank proved a popular attraction, with congregants taking aim to dunk the reverend, but things really took off when the pastor put a sign above herself that read, Goliath. Happy summer. The morning offering will now be given and received. Half of our plate goes to the internal social justice programs of the church and half to our Faith in Action partners, Just Voices and Knock and Drop. If you're giving online, the link will be on the chat on Zoom. Thank you for all you can give. We are grateful for all we can receive. Sorry, I gotta get on my middle-aged glasses here. So. A church is not the building, but a community. As a community of human hands and human hearts, we come together to share our laughter and our tears and to bear witness and minister to one another as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joys, including these. Bear with me as I get through this. Longtime member Bob Glass passed away on July 26th, at home with his family, surrounding him with love. He fought cancer, Parkinson's, and a related painful neuralgia. His wife, Barb, says, Bob was Bob during his illness and facing death, quiet, humble, patient, gentle, and kind. I will miss him so and know that many of you will too. We will. He was a large, helpful presence in our beloved community. He had been past president of Unity Circle and helped to organize the Boone suffragette reenactment of that wonderful march. His celebration of life will be held at our church on September 11th at 2 p.m. with coffee and sweets to follow. Chocolate will be involved. Barb says, I am so grateful that Reverend Victoria will be conducting the service, and I wish Bob had been able to know her. Jennifer Galuzzo has been transferred from Methodist Medical Center to Kavanaugh House to better control her pain. Recent procedures after entering the hospital in mid-July created even more pain, ache, and the desire to find peace. Since entering Kavanaugh, her constant pain has been considerably reduced. Cards of care can be sent to her home address for her husband, Steve, and also to her parents, Carol Hibbs and Roland Riley, who many of you may know. Addresses are available from the pastoral care team or the church office. Let us share together now the names of anyone we know who could use some special care and attention. You may call the name out loud or type it into the chat. As we share these names, may the love of this community hold them all. Shannon. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May the work of our hands and hearts support, aid, and comfort all those who hunger or thirst for food or water, justice or freedom. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Now together we light 3 candles, one for the joys and sorrows we have shared, one for the names we have spoken or written, and one last candle for all of the joys and all of the sorrows which are deeply held but remain unspoken here today.
Two months ago, Reverend Laura Solomon shared these words in the weekly UUE publication, Braver, Wiser. Reflecting on the enormity of the pain our world is in, she offers us a balm embedded in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, that the truth of the real human world is that there are no easy answers, and that the truth of the world is that our capacity to love one another is boundless. In remembering this boundlessness amid pain, we remember our tradition's first principle, that everyone has inherent worth and dignity. She begins her reflection with these words by the poet and scholar Aracelis Girmay. You at the edges and the shores, in the rooms of quiet, in the rooms of shouting, in the airport terminal, at the bus depot saying no, and each of us looking out from the gorgeous unlikelihood of our lives, finding ourselves here, witnesses to each other's tenderness, which this moment is fury, is rage, which this moment is another way of saying, you are who I love, you are who I love, you and you and you are who. As we collectively attempt to process the trauma, pain, and senseless violence of the past several weeks, I find myself repeating Aracelis Girmay's phrase, you are who I love. I'm thinking about how heavy the world feels and how hard it is to breathe under that weight. I'm thinking about self-care and the ways we talk about it and the ways we don't. It's easy to accept the weight of the world's suffering into our hearts and onto our bodies. It is easy to become heavy with the burdens of the world. You are who I love. Many believe that religion is the place where we find answers and meaning to the unanswerable questions. For some, religion is the place where answers to the unanswerable about evil and violence, death, injustice, cruelty reside. My Unitarian Universalism, though, doesn't give me answers to unanswerable questions, but does give me a faith big enough to hold my questions in a place beyond answers. To be human is to not have answers. To be human is to feel as though the enormity of sorrow, anger, grief, and pain will pull me into the undertow. My Unitarian Universalist faith reminds me that this is simply the way of it. Our hearts are meant to crack open under this enormity of grief. Because of this cracking and unknowing, because of this stumbling and holding one another, you are who I love. We do not need to fear the how of putting back together. We will come back together because it is what humans have always done. Fallen apart and witnessed the crumbling, come together and tethered ourselves to each other. We are an angry and beautiful people. We hold our questions, our rage, our not knowing, our loss, our devastation. And even in the uncertainty, we know we are made to hold one another. Spirit of life, hold us in our questions, our rage, our not knowing. Hold us as we learn imperfectly to hold one another. Guide us in our reassembling, in the ways we gather ourselves and one another up in love. Please join us in singing Song 159, This Is My Song.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace.
thank you to Kelly for indulging me. That's my favorite hymn, the entire 2 books. And I think apt right now. So I'm an enthusiastic traveler. If any of you know me, you're like, oh yeah, she's always gone. As soon as spring hits, I'm planning some sort of summer escape to see friends or family, to relax, or just to see something new. I've heard so many people in the last 2 years say they wish they could travel again, and this year, many people are. 20 years ago this year, my buddy Catherine and I embarked on the first adventure of what I have come to call the Spinster Librarian Tour of the World. Every few years, we save up our pennies and our vacation and set off, usually to Europe or the UK. This year, it's England and Portugal. We attach ourselves to a group of strangers and eat, drink, walk, and wonder our way across familiar and unfamiliar landscapes. We do this for fun and escape, but we also do this because it's very easy to let your world get small, especially living in the relatively safe and simple American Midwest. We love art and food and music, and most of the time, people. We love landscapes and architecture and the absurdities of everyday life, which are much the same everywhere. In a few weeks, Catherine and I set out on our next adventure to the UK and Portugal. I think that will make 13 countries we visited together. The planning for this trip has been especially fraught, even with my weird love of logistics. Genuinely, I love to do the planning. The emotions around this trip are especially strong in the face of all the things on fire, literally and figuratively in the world. We are approaching our summer vacation with equal parts hope and caution, and no little bit of positive defiance. The defiance comes from the natural instinct to stay put, wait until the fires pass, and wait until things calm down before venturing out into someplace new. But we are making a different choice, and we do it quite deliberately. We often participate in tours run by the tour company owned by Rick Steves, who you may have seen on PBS or heard on NPR. I'm a big fan. I've met him, he's a big nerd. He's also a good person. By his own admission, his ear for foreign language is atrocious, truly atrocious. But his take on travel is, I believe, strongly reflective of our UU principles, based on inherent worth, compassion in human relations, and broad acceptance. Plus, never pass up a good picnic. This is an excerpt from Travel as a Political Act by Rick Steves, which is a charming little book. Ideally, travel broadens our perspectives personally, culturally, and politically. Suddenly, the palette with which we paint the story of our lives has more colors. We realize there are exciting alternatives to the social and community norms that our less traveled neighbors may never consider. Imagine not knowing you could eat ethnic. Imagine suddenly realizing there were different genres of music. Imagine you loved books, and one day the librarian mentioned there was an upstairs. But you can only reap these rewards of travel if you're open to them. Watching a dervish whirl can be a cruise ship entertainment option, or it can be a spiritual awakening. You can travel to relax and have fun. You can travel to learn and broaden your perspective. Or best of all, you can do both at once. Make a decision that on any trip you take, you'll make a point to be open to new experience and seek options that get you out of your comfort zone. Finally, I found this charming little poem that captures my joy in traveling. It's called Two Shoes. Two shoes under the chair, waiting for someone to go and someone to go with, looking lonely, but only just waiting for the weather to clear. We now welcome member John Morrow, who will be playing the Catskill Mountain folk song, Friends and Neighbors. It's about leaving and coming home, among other things.
Hello, everybody. Friends and neighbors, I'm going for to leave you. I have no doubt that you think it is strange, but God be pleased, I never have robbed, and neither have I done any wrong. Some may say it's for some bad action. Some may say it's for something wrong. But others may say a different notion happened to run across my mind. Once I courted a pretty fair maiden. I courted her, and I knew that she did love me. But nature's cries, so all undaunted, caused me to cross the raging sea. I courted her both late and early. I courted her by night and day, but all I earned, so fast I spent it, so free and easy, I'll jog away. I'm going down to the Susquehanna, and there I'll stop, but I'll make no stay. Down by Kills Ferry, I will cross over to Virginia's alders. I'll mend my way. When I arrive in Virginia's alders, there I'll stop and I'll stay a while until I hear from my friends and neighbors and the handsome fair maid I left behind.
Thank you, John. So Birch and I were in a celebrant team meeting recently. We did a check-in with team members at the beginning. One of the first to speak said, well, the world is on fire. Everything's a mess. But have you seen the photos from the James Webb Space Telescope? I'm hoping we can put some up on the screen here. They're quite stunning. It turns out all of us, one way or another, at that meeting had been given a moment or three of simple wonder in these photos from space. Earlier this week, I was listening to On Point on NPR, and an astronomer who specializes in galactic evolution. Did you know this was a thing? I did not. It's so cool. He was nerding out about the images, along with the host, Meghna Chakravarti, who's a big nerd, which is why I listened to her. They were saying that this is the closest we've been to seeing the Big Bang. Even the language they had to use was wondrous, as the host had to ask not where they were looking in the photo, but when. Because the images are of the past, as light took its time to reach us. We are, in essence, seeing our own creation, a snapshot of the past. How wondrous is that? Neil deGrasse Tyson, the director of the Hayden Planetarium, was once asked, What is the most astounding fact you can share with us about the universe? He said, the most astounding fact is the knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up the human body, are traceable to the crucibles that cooked light elements into heavy elements in their core under extreme temperatures and pressures. Bear with me while I nerd out. These stars, the high mass ones among them, went unstable in their later years. They collapsed and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Guts made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and all the fundamental ingredients of life itself. These ingredients become part of gas clouds that condense, collapse, form the next generation of solar systems, stars with orbiting planets, and those planets now have the ingredients for life itself. So that when I look up at the night sky and I know that, yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect on that fact, I look up. Many people feel small because they're small and the universe is big, but I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. There's a level of connectivity. That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected, you want to feel relevant, you want to feel like you're a participant in the goings-ons of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are, just by being alive.
Our final reading this morning is this poem by Margaret Wheatley. In places where air still offers clarity, stars sing a siren song from space in the bright night. Lying on soft earth, carried into sky by longing, humans respond to stars with questions. Why is the universe so vast? Why are we so small? Call and response through the night. My whole life, I have sent these questions into space and listened for a response. The sky wakens and star song fades. Humans forget mystery and get on with living. But the stars keep calling. No response. Why is it that we call to stars only with science and insignificance? On the next bright night, find the clear air and ask again. Humans, ask again. Who are we? What is our place in this mystery? Perhaps you will hear what I have heard, a song of inner radiance. For the stars are calling, saying we must turn to one another and see, finally see, the stars everywhere. Please join us in singing hymn 139, Wonders Still the World Shall Witness, in the gray hymnal.
Wonder still the world shall witness, never known in days of old, never
My friends, may the spirit of love be a living flame before you, a guiding star above you, a firm path below you, and a gentle presence behind you. How does one address a mystery? Cautiously. Let us go cautiously then to the end of our certainty, to the boundary of all we know, to the rim of uncertainty, to the perimeter of the unknown which surrounds us. Reverently, let us go with a sense of awe, a feeling of approaching the powerful holy, whose lightning slashes the sky, whose persistence splits concrete with green sprouts, whose miracles are present in every place, in every moment. Hopefully, out of our need for wholeness in our own lives, the reconciliation of mind and heart, the conjunction of reason and passion, the intersection of timeless with time, quietly, for no words will explain the inarticulate or summon the presence that is always present, even in our absence. But what shall I say? Anything, any anger, any hope, any fear, any joy, any request, any word that comes from the depth of being addressed to being itself, or perhaps nothing, no complaint, no request, no entreaty, no thanksgiving, no praise, no blame, no pretense of knowing or not knowing. Simply be in the intimate presence of mystery, unashamed, unadorned, unafraid. And at the end, say amen. Peace, ashe, may it be so. As we go forth into the world, as this service has ended, our service in the wider world, our wider lives, begins anew.
Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, these ritual works of love.
Thank you, everyone. There's cake.